Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And I don't know why I whipped my head around so much when I said that, but I cracked my neck and it hurt.
You whip your head around a lot when you say that. It's just part of the thing you do.
I don't know. It hurt.
I don't know. How are you?
Desperately in need of a Chick-fil-A that is not 40 minutes away from my house.
Fair.
And kind of sick of most people.
Also fair.
But otherwise I'm good.
Excellent.
I actually had a really healthy conversation with some of my students in drama today about how I don't have favorites per se. I just have kids that I love in a different way because they need me to love them in a different way.
Oh, that is healthy. That's so nice.
And I was like, I know sometimes it might feel like I like someone more than you or I treat them differently than you, but it's because I know that what they need from me is not what you need from me. And the one girl who her mother passed away when she was young, I was like, I love her in the way that I feel like she needs, because I feel like, and she was there, so it wasn't like I was outing her in front of other people. But I was
right.
I was like, I feel like I love her in a motherly way because I know that that's who she needs me to be. And those of you who live with your mom and your mom calls you every 45 seconds, you don't need me to be your mom.
Right.
And it was just a really healthy conversation. But then they still were like, but who's your favorite? And I was like,
I just told you. None of you now.
You are asking that question right now, not you.
Right. That's so nice. We like a healthy conversation.
Healthy, emotional. I try really hard because I don't know, drama is the place where you're supposed to be able to be in touch with your emotions. So
fair.
Yeah. One of my 7th grade girls started crying during drama because she was so upset that the sentence at a time story that they wrote turned so violent. She was like, I just wanted to write a love story and none of the boys let me.
Oh, that's so sad. I
was like,
but also funny, but sad.
Right. I was like, I love you so much.
That's so sweet.
I can't wait till we start reading Little Women next week.
I can't wait to hear the stories. I love them.
I'm so happy for her that we are reading Little Women. And I don't care if the boys are miserable. I don't care. Yeah. I hate them all.
No, it's a good one. They're gonna love it. I have a lot of plans that I forgot I had until a minute ago because I didn't say anything about my life last episode, and I was like, I'm not doing anything, and then I was like, I'm doing a lot of things. So Friday I'm going to see my podcast that I love, and That's Why We Drink. They're gonna be live at Gramercy Theater.
Are they? I knew they had to cancel a lot of their lives.
They will be because they're in DC right now. And so they will be at Gramercy on Friday. And I am so excited. And I also have my friend Zach, who came in for Halloween, for those of you that remember 6 months ago. Exactly. I barely do. He's coming in this weekend, but I'm busy. So I'm only going to see him on Sunday. I think we're going to go do brunch and we're going to go see this bookstore he told me about. I don't remember what it was.
On Friday, I will be seeing Blippi, the musical. And by seeing it, I mean I'm working it. I have no desire to watch that show whatsoever.
I was wondering.
No.
That'll be fun.
But one of my friends from Paw Patrol Live in China is in Blippi musical.
Oh yeah, I forgot you told me about that.
Yeah,
that's so exciting.
I will get to see Miss Grace on Friday.
I love it. That is gonna be fun. Yeah.
I can't wait to take a picture with Grace and Snapchat it to Brian and Chris and be like, look who I found. Ha ha.
I wish I could do that. I don't even talk to those people. I just like to be mean. But speaking of work things, we also have a copyright conference this week. It's the midwinter one, so it's one of the annual ones. And but it's all virtual because of COVID and whatnot. It was supposed to be in Burbank, No, that's not right. LA? It's supposed to be in California. I don't remember where.
I mean, Burbank is like so close to LA. It's not even funny.
I know, but there's a different one that's in Burbank in May. This is not the same one.
Got it.
And so I don't remember where this one's supposed to be. And so they're doing like a few sessions. It's like half day sessions. And literally the first one we had was called RIP Copyright Law XOXO Gen Z. And I was just like, I want to shoot myself in the foot.
No.
And they talked about how much I know this is thrilling, how much copyright law is like so screwed up because Gen Z has just made their own rules on what's copyright infringement, what's not. It's just, I was furious.
Yeah, try to teach how to correctly use MLA citation to a bunch of kids who don't believe that anything should be copyrighted.
I just don't even want to think about it. Oh gosh, it is.
It's horrible.
And they're like, spoiler alert, they're like leaning towards, I think, trying to make copyright law fit what Gen Z wants. And I am so upset. I'm so upset. I haven't even usually I type up like a report at the end and send it to my boss of like what I learned at the conference, and I haven't even done it yet because I'm so upset.
I feel that. I was trying to think of if anything else interesting happened to me, and I forgot to tell you that over the weekend I got a random email from one of my 5th graders. And I was like, what is this? And it was just a picture of a meme from one of those, like you put 2 people's first names in and it tells you how much percentage of a match they are. And they put me and Clayton the Bachelor, and it said 95%. So they sent it to me. And then they were like, but Miss Liddick, Clayton's not your background anymore. And I was like, yeah, because he keeps giving Shanae roses. And so until he gets rid of her, he does not get to be my background. Shanae makes Corinne look like a sane, stable human being.
Like, I love Corinne.
No, I do too, but like her behavior on the show, questionable at best.
Shanae right, absolutely.
Shanae makes her look like that was rational, healthy relationships.
That's hilarious and awful.
Yeah.
So
the 5th graders know that Clayton is on probation for me right now.
Yes, fair. And that's our season 1 Dead Like Me wrap up, where we just jump from topic to topic to tell you about our life story.
We did that, didn't we?
We exactly did that. We just thought we'd have a little bit of a throwback to season 1 before we get into season 2, which is what we're talking about today. And this episode is Dead Like Me, season 2, episode 12. It is called Forget Me Not. And I have a lot of thoughts about the title, but I'll say those later.
I have no thoughts about the title. Like,
well, they have flowers called Forget Me Nots, and I really thought they were going to be incorporated in this episode. And they
right? No. Like, that's what I'm saying is like now having like after finding the episode title out after watching it, I'm like, I question you.
Right. That's my main problem is that it doesn't have Forget Me Nots in it. It's called Forget Me Not, and it's about death, and there's no reason to not have flowers.
But there's also like nothing about anybody forgetting anyone.
Right. Well, yeah. The patient in the hospital.
Oh, but, right. No, that was kind of a huge part of the episode.
Right. Yes, that was a large part of the episode that we just watched today. But had nothing to do with the flowers. And so I'm still going to be salty about it. But this episode was rated 8.2 out of 10, which fair. I thought it was a good episode. It was, it was a lot, but I thought it was good.
It was a lot, but yeah.
It came out October 10th, 2004. The number 1 song was Still Goodies. And the number 1 movie was still Shark Tale. So I have no new information. Except that on this day, October 10th of 2004, Christopher Reeve died.
Oh my gosh, why are we talking about death so much?
Because we're talking about death. Our show is about Grim Reapers. Our show is titled Dead Like Me. What is your question?
Yeah, but like our fun fact last episode was about somebody else dying.
Our show is about death.
The podcast is literally called Death.
Keep it together, MK. It's fine.
I'm fine.
Sad times.
I'm fine.
We have lost Superman. So the director was Brad Turner. This was his first time directing. We've had so many new directors in the past like half of the season.
Well, that's because we've had a different show for the past half of a season than we had before that.
Also true. But he's pretty well known. He was known for 24, Human Cargo, which I do not know what that is, and Homeland, which I haven't watched any of those.
But I watched a couple episodes of 24, and I've heard Homeland.
I've heard 24 is good. That's my information. But some other things he worked on were The New MacGyver,
my favorite,
V-Wars with Ian Somerhalder.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Take Two, which I loved that no one else did because it immediately got canceled. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay. So like good stuff.
Yeah. And
very, very different stuff.
Very different.
We're watching.
Yes. We're watching very different shows from him.
Although I'm curious what episodes of MacGyver he directed now that you continue to talk, and I will find this out.
Okay. So it's written by Stephen Godshaw and John Macias. And John Macias has written a couple other episodes, the better ones. He wrote Sin and the Clowns. He wrote A Cook, and he wrote the season 1 finale. So.
Sorry, speaking of A Cook, I forgot to say that the guy last week, the guy who was the morgue assistant, was also the patty melt guy from the A Cook episode who wanted his grilled cheese.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Fun fact indeed.
Yes.
We had some guest stars. We had lots of them this season.
One does.
So we did have lots of them this season, but we had a lot this episode. The first one was Piper Laurie. She played Nina, the woman who forgot her everything.
Okay,
she has been in a lot of good things. She's been in The Faculty, which was a very cheesy 90s movie that I liked. The original Carrie, the original Twin Peaks, the new MacGyver, and fun crossover. She was on one episode of Will and Grace.
Fantastic.
We also had Yardley Smith, who, for those of you who may not recognize her face, she is the voice of Lisa Simpson. She also has a podcast called Small Town something. Oh, gosh.
Brad Turner did direct one of my favorite episodes of season 4 of MacGyver that has some intense emotional baggage stuff in it. So
makes sense.
Sorry, my mom just plugged a jump drive into the computer, and the jump drive splitter on the computer is a TARDIS, and when you plug USBs into it makes the TARDIS landing noise. But sometimes I forget that my mic picks things up that aren't like around me, and they just appear in my headphones, and all of a sudden the TARDIS was in my headphones. I was confused.
Well, I would have let you go if the TARDIS was coming to pick you up.
Thank you so much.
That would have been a good reason to take a break from the podcast.
That was very kind of you.
That's the only reason. The only reason you are allowed to leave.
Only viable reason to ditch podcast mid-recording.
Yes.
The doctor has come to take you.
Exactly. And our last guest star is Patty Allen, who played Claire at the very end. She came in at the very end. She was on SG-1, one of the main characters.
What?
Claire, the neighbor. The very end, she came into Joy's house.
Okay. Yes. What character did she play?
A main one.
Okay. What one?
I don't know. There one that starts with a J. I feel like there's one that started with a J. Look, I don't know anything about Stargate. I don't even know anything about the movie we watched, and we watched it already. So I only pick these characters for your benefit because you know more than me about that.
I do know more than you, but I'm
just about that. Not like
slightly perturbed. But again, continue.
And then I said, we just don't talk about Eric McCormick. And
never.
Then I checked the episode. So I actually enjoyed this little monologue in the beginning. She starts with talking about her love of books and how her dad, when she was younger, told her you'll never be alone as long as you have a good book. And I feel that way all the time.
Oh, that's why
Yeah.
I wrote, maybe that is why I related to George when I was young.
Yes, that is exactly how I related to her. And I just thought it was so nice. And then she was like, baby George was cracking me up because she was talking about
Also, to clarify, no, she played a character that was in exactly one episode of Stargate SG-1.
Okay, well, why is it the first thing that showed up on her list?
It is the first thing that showed up on her list because she's one of those people who just does a bunch of Hallmark movies and one episode of every show that she's ever been in.
Okay, well, I tried.
I was like, there. No, I know all the main characters. That's not one of them.
Well, meh.
Yeah,
Fine. So they're talking about going to this party, and George doesn't want to go because she's reading her book and she's just got to the good part. And she tells her mom's telling her what gift she bought. I do not remember what it was. It was some outfit, I think. And George just says, Mom, you're going to get me killed. It's like, you're like 8. Calm down. I was dying. And then we flash back to George saying reading never got her anywhere. And she flashes back to present day George and Mason, and they're at a spelling bee. And I happen to have won our spelling bee because I too am good at spelling.
well, okay.
And my love of reading.
Here's the thing. I had a moment, and I did not write down what was said because I'm an idiot. But in the scene, George was like, I'm a really good speller because I read. And then Mason said something about why he was a really good speller, and it was not about reading. And I don't remember what it was, but I was like, maybe I am Mason.
He just kept telling her. I don't know what he said about spelling because he just kept telling her. He was like, shut up! I'm trying to listen. Stop interrupting them. And he's like, Jesus Christ, George. And then he's like, I'm going for this kid. He just like was really.
I wish I knew what he said. He said something about what made him good at spelling.
I don't know.
It was something so obnoxious because it's Mason and he's obnoxious. But yes. I was like, nope, I get that one. That one is also me.
Well, he did say the kid's word was Thanatos, and he knew what that one was. He immediately said the definition was about dying. And so he got that.
You know,
is that what you're referring to?
Maybe it was, but it was like he said something. Basically, he said something about I spent a lot of time being me. Yeah. Or something like that, where she was like, I just read a lot. He goes, I spent a lot of time being me. And I was like,
fair.
Yeah, nope, I get it.
I do feel that. And then
but just so everyone is clear, the kid whose word was Thanatos was Francis, the love of Reggie's life.
Yeah. Because he was in the credits and I was like, what? It's like,
no, I knew it was him. I was like, oh, Francis.
I didn't notice it was him at first.
And then, because then Mason was like, come on, Francis. I was like, why? You are rooting so hard for this little pudgy child.
I just didn't put one and one together. It was very clearly there. I just didn't do it. So that's good to know. And then we see the other kid's dad is very angry that he got a hard word and got out, and he throws.
Okay, but apoplectic is not a hard word.
It's not a hard word. Okay, absolutely.
I'm glad we're on the same page then.
Yes, no, I agree. And then he throws the book at the judge who's saying, giving the words, and it just hits him, and his head goes down, and then he bleeds. And I was like, what? Oh, how?
Did you not see? He moved. He had one of those receipt things to put the used words on. Oh. And when he hit him and his head went down, it went into the receipt spike, which I will be honest, having worked with receipt spikes is a fear of mine.
Well, I don't fear for my head to go on it. I do fear that I'm going to catch my hand on it because I have quite a few times.
I'm always afraid that I'm going to trip and hit my face on the counter because I've done that. But if I hit my face on the receipt thing on the counter.
counters are too tall for me to do that.
You work
And
at a
the spike
bar.
is too far back.
You work at a bar at a fast food restaurant. The counters are not as tall as they are at a bar.
And the spike is farther back because we have to share it with the bartender. So
less of a hazard for you.
If I fall, I will not be injured by that. It's possible I will still be injured.
Probable.
Just not because of that.
I would say probable, not possible.
Right, accurate. I get bruises a lot, cuts on my hands. I'm a disaster. So then we pop over to Daisy and Rube, who are chit-chatting, and they talk about Elvis's favorite food because it's the Elvis special. Have you never had an Elvis special?
I have not, because I don't eat bananas.
Oh gosh, seeds.
Yes. But my favorite part of this was when Daisy was like, "How is it?" And Tiffany just straight up was like, "It tastes like death."
She says death on a plate. And I was like, first of all, it's delicious.
Okay, but I'm sure the actual Elvis sandwich is delicious, but the way they were describing it and adding the bacon definitely like messed that up.
No, bacon is also delicious with that.
Is it? I don't know.
It is.
I don't know. I find like
it is amazing. And I've had it on a waffle too.
I was the person who used divider plates until my 20s. So like a lot of flavors together at once. I still have some things that I'm like, that's I trust that you think this is going to taste good, but I don't know yet.
Well, I do know that this tastes good.
Okay.
And you're missing out, but also you can't have bananas. And so that's fair, I guess.
It actually is kind of sad because I did used to like bananas.
Yeah. Can you like cut the center out?
Yeah.
If you cutter it.
There's a lot of things that I can eat if I cut pieces of them out, but it's like so much work.
It's so much work. But like if you really wanted a banana, you could like have one. It would just be work.
I'm going to buy the plate on March 26th. My mom just said she's going to give me a dinner on a divider plate on March 26th so that I will also eat divider plates in my 30s.
Perfect.
On March 25th, I turn 30, which is disgusting.
Look, I'm looking forward to being 30.
I'm not. But it's because
I was 13 going on 30. I'll be 30, flirty, and thriving because I am struggling in my 20s. So I am looking forward to moving up.
Honestly, like it's not that I actually have any kind of like age issues. Like I don't think age has anything to do with who I am as a human. But at the same time, I'm about to be 30 and I still feel like I relate to my 13-year-old students more than I do any adult man.
Look. I don't know that you're ever going to relate to any adult man because they are the worst.
I hate them.
Oh, yes.
If any of our fans are men, which the Anchor algorithm thing seems to think is not true, but like if you are, I don't mean that I hate you. Probably not. Like I'm pretty sure if you have good enough taste to listen to this podcast, I don't completely hate you.
Fair. You're probably fine.
Yeah.
So now we have alienated men, and specifically men whose names start with J. We have.
Okay, I don't regret alienating men whose name starts with J. Like I fully stand by that one.
Okay. So.
Except for the short list.
The short list we've given you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're on the approval list. It's fine. It's fine. So now Mason and George walk in to the diner.
Yes.
I was like, this is the exact next thing that happens.
Sorry, I had a note about something Tiffany said, but I forgot that it was after everybody else gets there and then leaves again.
Mm-hmm. And so Rube Mason is just spelling everything. And I just put, Rube is going to punch Mason in the face. And then he brings up, it gets Daisy's boyfriend gets brought up somehow. I don't remember how. And Rube is upset. He's like, this is not cool. This is not allowed. And Sorry, it sounded like something was outside my door. It probably was. I live in an apartment, but it distracted me for some reason. But yeah, so Rube is like going off about this, and no one is giving him answers. Everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And Daisy's like, I don't have a boyfriend. And Rube just like won't let it go. Fair, he shouldn't. But
then Tiffany is like, oh, you mean that cutie you left here with the other night? And I was
yeah.
like, Tiffany, girl, you do not know the girl code.
Right. And you know these people well enough to know that you're not supposed to say anything. You don't say anything about anything else.
To Rube? No. But let's be fair. Tiffany's allegiance is to Rube. Hands down, 100%.
Absolutely. But she doesn't ever mention anything that goes on, ever, to anyone. So why is now when she chooses to start? I was like, not today, girl, not today. But alas, she did. So then we go back to Reggie and Joy. Or we go to them first.
Hold on. No, before we do that. They're giving out he's giving out assignments.
Mm-hmm.
And Mason asks why Roxy doesn't have an assignment. And Rube's like, Roxy has a personal date. And Mason's like, why don't I get a personal date? And Rube's like, because you are a fuck up. And I said that I truly do not understand why Rube continues to treat Mason this way.
I don't, and I also don't understand why Roxy gets so many personal days.
Yes.
What is she needed for?
Yes, but this is the first of many, many notes that I will come back to this episode. Just to be clear, this episode is basically the tirade of why I don't think anyone treats Mason fairly. I'm over it. I'm over it.
I'm with you.
Over it.
I'm with you. It's fair.
Also, George is a terrible liar. Notes on that scene. George is terrible liar.
George is terrible at everything. So that's fine. So we go to Reggie and Joy, and Reggie's making blueberry pancakes. And I mean, Joy is, and Reggie says, what's wrong? She's like, what do you mean? She's like, you only make blueberry pancakes when something's wrong. And it turns out nothing's really wrong. But she says, why are you dressed like a realtor? It's like she's just dressed in business casual. Well, that's not like a realtor. I mean, but whatever. And then she says she's going to go job hunting.
And I literally immediately wrote, oh my God, is Joy going to go to Happy Time?
I did too. Yes. So.
And then my mom goes, Joy needs a temporary job. Does that mean she's going to go? And I was like,
yes, absolutely. And that's pretty much all that happened in that scene. It wasn't a whole lot going on. So back at Rube and George.
Yes.
And Rube is still mad about Daisy, and he says that any of her alleged indiscretions have not been on his watch, but he knows he's heard about things, so he's like, this is not going to happen.
Okay, but then in this moment, they're discussing her alleged indiscretions, and they're just like listing a bunch of celebrities' names.
Right.
And then George is like, I don't know who that one is. And Rube is like, Sunset Boulevard. And like they have a whole conversation about Sunset Boulevard. And I go, that was not Rube, that was Mandy. I just make notes of anything. Any time that Mandy Patinkin just shines through Rube in a way that is like, nope, that was just Mandy. He just said that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then she's putting syrup on her eggs.
Okay, I also like syrup on my eggs. I was with George on that one. Syrup on eggs, actually, like if you're having like French toast and eggs, yes, 100%.
I like syrup on my bacon.
Well, yes, no, syrup on your bacon is good, but like he was like, that ruins the eggs. And I was like, but does it? I don't think it does.
So how can you mix all of these foods together, your French toast, your bacon, your syrup, and your eggs, and be okay with it?
Because that's delicious.
Okay, but you think about what's in bananas, peanut butter.
It's the peanut butter and bacon that freaks me out.
Why?
I don't know.
Because it's sweet, but also so is syrup.
Yeah, but peanut butter's not sweet. It's like sweet, but also not sweet.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain what I am.
Me either.
But like peanut butter and bacon do not go together.
Okay. Incorrect, but okay. Agree to disagree. So then Rey shows up. And if I never had to talk about Eric McCormick again and this related to the show, I wouldn't. But
my note just says he immediately showed up and I just wrote, fuck off, Rey.
Right. And I put, oh good, Reeve can just kill him. That's what I was hoping for. And then he's talking about,
this was the first time that I actually liked George, like ever, because she was like, no, I don't know you.
I know. And he says, you're not welcome here. She says, I did not invite you to sit down. Because he's like, just tell me if I'm not welcome here. He says, you're not welcome here. He says, I did not invite you to sit down with a full table of people you do not know. And he's like, I know George. George is like, I don't know. You don't know me. And I was just like, oh my God.
When Rey finally leaves and Rube's like, that guy's a piece of work. And George is like, right? I do not care for him.
I know. She went on a rant. I was like, I'm with you. I follow you.
I feel like that was all of my friends behind my back and I didn't know it.
I mean, you might not be wrong. But I wasn't around for that, so I can't tell you for
you were
sure.
Not. You were not yet around. But I can only imagine the things you would have said to me were you around, because you were much more blunt than a lot of my friends then were.
I am. I will just tell you things. I will let you know how I feel. But I'm also kind. I'm not mean.
I am mean. So
but you're also kind. Just in a different way.
Yeah. It's funny. For someone as like callous as I can be, I'm really good with children, which means I'm clearly not actually that mean.
Right. Yes. You just wear your emotions on your sleeve a lot more.
Usually my emotion is frustration.
Right. Which is fair. So this episode does jump around a little more like first season, and didn't care for that, but here we are. It's what we were given.
It wasn't as bad though, because like a lot of times there was multiple characters together. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as bad, but I think it was more obvious because it has happened less this season.
Fair.
And so that's where I came out about it. We go to Mason and Daisy. They're at a boxing ring. We find out Daisy has invited Rey to her Reeve. Like a moron.
Okay. And then this is when I'm going to get really angry. Then she gets mad at him and she's like, oh, since when are you the responsible one? And I literally was like, he's been the responsible one for weeks now and no one is giving him any credit. He's the only one who was mad at George for doing something stupid. Like, yes, trying to steal money from a dead guy, fine. But like, that's just Mason's quirk. He's the only one who is like when George was upset about Tripp, only one who noticed. Like, only one who's sticking up for you when this guy's literally like squeezing your wrist in public. Like, Mason is the responsible one when he cares about people and no one is giving him any credit. And I'm talking really fast right now, but I don't even care because I get so angry when people just don't. They're like, you're a fuck up. You're always going to be a fuck up. But like, that's not true.
It's not true. Mason is a saint right now. He truly is doing the best out of everyone. Rube is so disconnected that he's not even noticing that everything's a mess. And it's just, and Roxy's just gone.
Which Rube is 100% in his own shit. And so he's not worrying about anybody else, which is exactly what he wants no one else to be doing. And it's a little hypocritical of him. And I'm mad about it. And I'm mad about everybody calling Mason a fuck up when he's the only reason that team is still together.
Truly. He's the only reason anything is going through. So we go back to Happy Time, and I just put, yes, Joy is applying at Happy Time. That's exactly what I wanted.
And I wrote, Joy and Crystal is the combination I never knew I needed in my life.
Yes, I always need more Crystal in my life. I love her so much.
Facts.
And then we go over to the hospital for the first time, and we learn that George's Reeve is at the hospital. Yes.
I have one note that is completely unrelated to plot, which I don't usually do. But when George and Reeve walk into the hospital, I think this might be the first time we've ever seen George in a skirt. Her legs are so skinny. I almost died. I was like, that is unhealthy. I don't approve.
Okay, but also,
I also don't think
outfit.
Yeah. Agree.
It is not very George.
No. But also, I don't think her legs are like, I don't think she was like, had an eating disorder or something. I think her legs are just that skinny. But like, I am so uncomfortable by it because I don't think like my neck is as skinny as her legs were.
I was just very upset about the outfit.
Like,
it was not very George to me.
Okay, I'm upset about every outfit that existed from the years 1999 until 2018.
Yeah, big fan. Well, after 2010, I'm cut off, but before, big fan. So we learn that Yardley Smith is also a Reaper, but she has what is it? Natural
causes, yeah.
causes.
But her name is Penny, and she's a Reaper of people who die of natural causes, and she gets to work in like an old folks home, so she like gets to just like rape all the people who die peacefully in their sleep. And like that is the best job.
That is the dream Reaper.
And Rube even says like that is 10 out of 10.
And he knows her somehow, and we never know how. But I would like to know.
Okay. There's clearly like a Reaper network where like different divisions like interact with each other. And this is actually something I picked up from Reddit because somebody said something on Reddit about how there has to obviously be a network because everybody seems to know about her. And like even the dirty animal boy, who I can't think of his name, knew who George was. So,
but like she knows about Tiffany and she knows about times at the diner, like
right. But like so there's like there's obviously like a Reaper network. And so like because Rube is middle management, he obviously probably knows more people and has relationships with more people outside of like his division than other people would. Like
I just still think there's something more there than just working together.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't because she is shocked about the later when, or maybe it's now when it's definitely later when she finds him the information about the old folks home that is later, but like she's shocked to find out that he's worried about anybody who is alive or even who these people are. She doesn't know their names of anybody. And I don't think like, I know he's a closed off person, but I don't think it's anything more than like work associates if she doesn't know anything. But like
he also hasn't told Roxy. Yeah, and they have outside relationship.
Yeah, but Roxy's still his employee.
I don't know. I wonder if she used to work for him in his department and now she's in her.
You can't change departments. Remember? They told us that when Daisy transferred, you don't change jobs.
A lot of
just work colleagues, just friends.
All right.
Back before he had to deal with all these fuck ups that he has in his division.
Truly. And George is talking about how she's freaked out by the old people, and it just made me think of our Reddit thread we were discussing the other day when we were like, we asked like what Reeve they couldn't do, and a lot of people were saying old people because they're so kind, and George is just like old people because they freak me out. I was like, George.
I truthfully, and I said this on Reddit, I truthfully get overwhelmingly depressed whenever I see an old person alone.
Well, I think it depends on the context because I've seen a lot of old people that are happy alone.
No,
I see them at like restaurants and stuff.
No, when I see an old person eating alone at a restaurant, I don't care how happy they are. I genuinely cannot handle it. It makes me so upset. Like, okay, it was one of my students' basketball games. Mm-hmm. It was the one that they lost really, really badly. And one of the kids on the team, his grandpa was at the game. And because we were at a college, so the stadium was so much bigger than the middle school, and the grandpa was sitting in a different part of the stands than I was. It was just this old man sitting entirely alone by himself in the basketball court. This man is happily married and has a daughter and a grandson that he loves very much. And he's a very happy man and he's a very smart man. And I know him personally, but the image of him alone by himself in the section of the stands that he was in, I was sobbing. For no reason. Like I cannot handle old people by themselves. I can't.
I don't know what to tell you. Don't come hang out with me in 50 years. That's what I'm going to say.
But then you won't be alone because I'll be with you and I'll also be old.
I guess that's true. You wouldn't be just watching me from afar, probably.
That would be so weird.
Maybe don't do that.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'd appreciate it if you just left me alone instead of creeping on me. Yeah, and so George is so nervous about Nina, and I immediately got sad because she clearly has Alzheimer's or dementia and doesn't remember her life. And my Mimi also has Alzheimer's, and it's just really sad comparison. And I knew when I saw the post-it notes, I was like, oh, this is Alzheimer's. So I love her.
But they also like made it kind of funny and sad at the same time. Like they didn't play it for as sad as it could have been, which I appreciated.
Right.
But they also
levity in this episode.
They also didn't like make fun of her. Like they kind of poked fun at how difficult it was for George because she couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But they weren't making light of the fact that she couldn't remember.
I agree. Because I was like, throughout the episode, I was getting a little concerned about that. And then I didn't. And I was like, okay, you didn't go overboard.
Yeah.
I think they just had to bring some levity to the episode. I mean, truly. So now we're back. There
was really only 3 storylines, and 2 of them were very upsetting. So the old lady with Alzheimer's was the not upsetting of the 3 storylines. So that tells you how dark we're going today.
We are getting depressed, so watch out. So we go back to the boxing ring, and Daisy's talking about how Katharine Hepburn boxed and how it was such a good thing for actresses. I don't know, but our musical theater major, who I work with now, she does boxing. So I was like, maybe it's a thing.
No, I'm sure it is with other people. When I was in Thailand, everyone wanted me to take Muay Thai. Like all my friends took Muay Thai, which is like Thai boxing.
Yeah.
But the idea of like, when I'm stressed out, I don't want to be more stressed out. Some people are like, oh, I've had a really bad day. I just want to punch things. That is over. No, when I've had a really bad day, like yoga and swimming and very alone, like in your head things are how I decompress. The idea of like rage punching things just like is not real.
Also, like I don't trust my body enough to do boxing. Like I have injured both of my wrists playing tennis. I have injured my shoulders playing tennis. My back hurts all the time because I basically am 90 now. And if I were to punch something, my whole body would probably just break in half. Like everything would hurt and I would never recover from it.
I like to dance and swim.
Me too.
Yoga and do like things that are very much like I can release all of this energy out into the world
in a happy, peaceful way
by myself with music. Yes.
I love a good just dance. I love a good yoga. I don't do a lot of swimming, but I don't have a place to swim. So I do like swimming. I just don't have a place to swim.
Yeah. But no, aggressive things like basketball and like the most competitive sport that I do is badminton.
Oh, I love badminton. I do love tennis. I just probably am terrible at it now because it's been a long time since I played.
Yeah.
My body just hurts too much to do anything like that. It's just broken, and I've just accepted it. I have shin splints in my legs from hitting the court in tennis.
It's the worst.
I can't do anything that's too intense. So, yoga and dancing, I can do. So, Mason goes into this crazy monologue that was cracking me up, he was pep talking about being beautiful and boxing, and he just kept going. I was like, what is happening?
Kid Mason! Kid Mason!
And I was like, oh my gosh, he is insane, which, like, to be fair, I would also probably be insane at this point. So
in his monologue, he pretends that he's fighting Rey, and he turns around and swings, and then Rey is behind him, and I literally was like, God, I wish she would have punched him in the face.
I know, he almost punched him in the face, and I was like, oh, so close. So then Mason and Rey square up, and Rey is a straight up jerk. He says some of the meanest things that he could think of to say to Mason, and I was very mad at him. And then we pop over to Daisy, who is dealing with her REEP. We learn that Kid Washington is not a kid, but the old boxer man who, he seems like he's really content with how his life turned out. So I was like,
Yeah.
gotta die. It's probably a good time to go. He seems happy.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
very
sad. I
small.
mean, I'm sad that he like died violent. Like he wasn't gonna die
Right.
in his sleep, especially when we are talking about like natural cause death reapers. But like, I'm glad it wasn't one of the young guys.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he was talking about you never get anywhere by acting, what did he say, like impulsively or something, and it was
Yeah.
like you could just tell he really found stability and balance.
Yeah.
And stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. Then we go back to the hospital, and it seems, oh, so she takes Nina's soul, and Nina looks at her and like makes a noise, and it's like, did she feel her soul leaving? Like, it was so strange. I was like, this is like, I was uncomfortable and I wasn't even there, so I can only imagine what George felt. And then she pops over to this, she keeps trying to go somewhere. She pops over to this, there's this tray of medication laid out, separated for everyone, and she just starts taking them. And I was like, oh my God, I was so upset.
Yeah.
It was so upsetting. And oh gosh. And I was like even George stopped her. And I was like,
yeah, like George was
George
like, I know I'm not supposed to
can't
interfere,
stop
but
her.
like, let's not.
I know. And like, this is the one time that I'm like, George, this is the one time that you try to like do something you're not supposed to, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I also couldn't just stand there and watch it.
No.
I wouldn't have made it as long
not.
as George did. So like,
She took one whole like row of those.
and obviously it did not physically hurt her. It just killed her. And she's gonna be better on the other side. So it's like there was no really like
Right.
reaction. It was like she just died in her sleep, even though obviously it was more than that.
Yeah.
But so it could have been worse. But then we go back to the boxing ring, and Mason and Rey are boxing. And Mason, I don't know why he tries. I mean, I do. I'm glad he tries for him, but he's just kind of a little thing. Can't do a whole lot. And Daisy is trying to care for his feelings and be nice to him now. And I just said, this is not the time.
Okay, I don't remember what happened.
Okay.
No. So, I do. But my note says, okay, Ray's right that Daisy did this, but God, I hate him.
He said because she was like, because Mason said something about stopping it. And she said, this is all I've ever wanted is two guys to fight over me. And then Rey says, you did this because you have feelings for two different guys. What did you think was going to happen?
Yes.
And yeah. And like, while true, this is not a mature way to handle it. So this is not what should have happened still.
No, yeah, he was like, you got involved with both of us. What did you expect to happen? And
right.
I was like, if she had just been honest with Mason.
And not in her like really jerky way that she was trying to do.
Right. No, and but even when she was being really jerky, like she was never honest with Mason. Like she kept being like, no, it's not what you think. Like at first she was like, no, I don't want to date Rey. But then she like did. And like she just kept lying to Mason because it hurt too much to tell him that she didn't actually like him.
Right. Except I think she does.
Well, of course she does.
But yeah, so that's what was happening. And then we go back to happy time. And this woman just walks right up to Joy and starts telling her how much everybody loves Ricky. And Joy's like, that's nice. She's Ricky. And she's like, who's Ricky? And she's like, oh, isn't he your son? Are you Ricky's mom? And she's like, no. She's like, are you sure? She's like,
I was like, I'm pretty sure she's sure. I think she would know if she birthed a son.
And then she tries to offer her half of her tuna fish sandwich. And I was like, what is happening right now? Why is this the weirdest scene that's ever happened in the world? It was very strange. And then she tells her she's brave. And I was like, have you never seen like a normal aged woman go out to get a job?
I hate that so much.
Me too.
You're so brave.
you're so gonna get punched in the face. That's how I feel. Oh,
Luckily, people aren't like that as much.
right.
I think today, because I think that they're like much more accepting of women having like multiple life paths kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
I think it's also like that more in the like north than it is in the south too. Because in the south they still like make comments about
oh no, I was gonna say, I thought you were saying that like it's more accepting in like it's more the things that happen to Joy happen more in the north. And I was like,
no,
really? You meant the other way around,
never.
which I totally
That is never what I mean. The south is never more accepting of things. So
accurate. Okay,
yeah.
cool. We're on the same page. Absolutely.
Excellent. So we go back to the boxing again, and Daisy finally.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
No, before that, but Dolores comes to grab Joy. They don't actually go to their interview yet, but she tells her she's ready, and Dolores and Joy walks past George's cubicle, and there's like a weird moment where she stops, and I was like, well, that was fucking weird.
I know. Yeah.
I don't like it. And then we go back to the boxing ring where Daisy finally tells Rey.
She finally tells Rey she's done with him. And she walks away. And then Mason punches him in the back of the head. I was like, okay, he does deserve it.
Oh, I was
that
mad.
Is not how you
I was not mad about it at all. I was like, do it one more time.
You can't. That's not fair. Okay. Not that Rey's fair and Rey deserves it.
I'm not worried about fair
fight.
It's also not a fair fight because Mason can't get hurt because he's dead.
Okay, that's also true. Let's also try to think about that.
Daisy even told him. Mason was like, man, he punches really hard. And Daisy was like, you heal fast.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. And then I missed how Kid got knocked down.
I missed that also.
I don't know if they didn't show us or if I missed it.
I think we both just missed it because I was too busy writing that Rey is a piece of shit. And I don't know exactly what incident caused me to say that, but Rey is a piece of shit.
He was just saying mean things to Mason again, probably. He said so many
things to Mason that just got under my skin in a way that I cannot begin to explain.
Right. And then we're back to the hospital, and this is really sad. She's talking about they have to get to class, they have to do this, and then we find out that she still thinks she's in 8th grade. And I could not. When I tell you, I could, and you see George's face soften, and she's like, 8th grade was a good time. She's like, I did enjoy 8th grade.
She was like, did you like that book? And I was like, what book? Tell me what book you're reading. I want to know.
I know, I was thinking the same thing. And ties back into the opening monologue where she talks about loving books and never being alone. But it just makes me think about, because like with Alzheimer's, you lose your most recent memories first and go backwards. If she's forgotten everything until 8th grade, she's been dealing with this for a long time. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
So then we go to Happy Time. And we learn that Joy was a history major and a business minor. Would not have pegged her as a history major, maybe a business minor, but very interesting. And then Dolores just keeps saying, your name sounds so familiar and you look familiar. And then she scrolls through her list and finds out that she's George's mom and that George was the girl who died.
Okay, but this moment, so she was trying to figure out where to place Joy. Mm-hmm. And Joy was like, I don't really know what I like. And then she's like, starts listing all the things that she likes doing. And I was like, oh my God. Because like, I know that Dolores serves as like the mother figure for George because she can't actually talk to her mom. Uh-huh. And obviously like Dolores is something else. But Dolores and Joy have so much in common that you don't even think about. That right. It was just like so sad.
I know. And it's because like they've immensely different like personalities, but they are so similar.
Right.
And it's like night and day.
It's like all the things that George loved about her mom and got from her mom without all the things that like made them clash.
Yeah, exactly. And she's talking about George. She had hired George, and she says, she seemed sweet. And Joy goes, did she? She said, no. Like,
she was like, really? No, but she was like, but she was hard and she was rough, but she had potential. And that's why I hired her. And that, like, as a teacher, broke my heart a little bit, because like the number of my kids that I'm like, if they were anything other than what they are right now.
Right. Oh gosh. This episode just had a lot going on. So then we go to Reggie at school, and she's in the library, and the teacher is like telling her to put it up because the books haven't been coded correctly or whatever. And she goes, the teacher, is that a skin magazine? I was like, I've never heard it called a skin magazine.
No. I'm pretty sure that's a brand. Skin magazine is like a brand of nudie magazines.
Realize that. Because I'm used to people calling like Playboy or something, you know, like I had no idea. I was just like, that is a weird way to say that. Maybe it's Canadian. And then Reggie picks up A Tale of Two Cities and sees George's name in it on the card. And she just gets a little sad. And I'm ready to see how they're going to wrap up Reggie. Because we're close. We have 3 episodes left. And I'm ready to see how they're going to wrap up Reggie, because they're really going to have to do it well.
That's true.
It's so mild. Like, I mean, she's had a lot happen, but like compare it, like the Reggie George storyline has been so mild, but has been so intertwined throughout everything.
Right.
But they really need to step up their game for that one. Yeah. We go back to the hospital, and George is trying to remind her of her daughter and her husband, and she's just not remembering any of it. And this is after she's died. And I just had the most depressing thought that I was like, what happens if you don't remember still after you die? Like, theoretically, you're healed, you go to a better place and everything. And so your memory would come back after you die, but she doesn't remember anything. And
okay. But is this where the scene happens? Yeah, this is where the scene happens with Reeve and Penny and George.
No, that's right next. That's right.
Oh,
next.
okay. Yeah. But it's this time at the hospital.
Though. Yes. Okay. This time in the hospital. And I was just like, that is so depressing. So then we go over to Reeve and Penny, and Reeve asked Penny about his daughter and where she was staying. And he was she tells him, like, she gives him a second. She's like, is this someone you knew in real life? And he's like, yes. But he never lied to her.
No.
And
he tried to avoid it, but then
he avoided but didn't lie.
Yes.
So he gets the information on where his daughter was. So I assume we're gonna get something about that soon. And then this was sad. So George comes up and tries to tell them that she can't help this woman. She doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And basically they're just like, you're on your own. And George says something
but
about,
it was really cute because Reeve did tell Penny that George was one of his better reapers.
I know. He said, this is one of my better ones. She says, I really can't stand old people. I just don't understand them. And she says, you're one lucky girl. You'll never be one. And I was like,
I wrote, Penny's a rock star. Like,
Penny is a rock star.
Penny is like the Mother Earth to Rube's Father Time. Like, that's
100% irrelevant.
I wish that we had more Penny. I don't know if she comes back, but I doubt it. And so it makes me sad because, like, Penny is the yin and to the yang. Like, we need both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I mean, I guess it makes sense that Reeve has the non-natural deaths because he's a little more rugged and a little more deep, whereas she's the more peaceful one, and so she has the more peaceful death. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But God bless.
Maybe.
So then,
oh my God.
What?
I just thought of something. Like, literally, like, right this second.
Yes.
what if you are a reaper based on how you died? Mason committed suicide. Daisy was killed in a fire. Roxy was murdered. George was killed violently by something external. They all work in unnatural deaths.
Oh, I just got
What
chills.
if, right? So that means that little boy Charlie was killed in, no, but he was killed by a car crash and now he reaps animals. He ruins my theory.
That doesn't look. They do not stick to their theories very well. So
I know, but I was so proud of myself for that. And then I was like,
no, I think you
child.
could still be right because they do like to insert things into the storyline that don't make sense, like seeing Rupe's face on the poster when we know that they're not supposed to be able to see their face. So like they're inconsistent. I think your theories works.
We'll just pretend that he wasn't killed in a car crash and he was killed by a bear attack. That's my theory.
Maybe he was killed in a car crash with his pet. We don't know. And that's why he has to.
We also,
maybe all kids have to do pets anyways. Maybe that's not maybe it's an age thing too.
Maybe kids get sent to pets because that's easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, kind of sad that like any kid would be a reaper.
Right.
Ugh.
And like especially for pets. Could you imagine just taking pet souls your entire life?
But like you have to, if pets have souls that have to get reaped, you have to have someone who can like be there.
Right. But how devastating would it be to be that person? I mean, I would be devastated to be any of these people other than Penny. Penny seems all right. That seems like an okay way to live life.
But that's my theory. She died of natural causes. She had like cancer or a heart attack or something.
I like it.
Yep.
Amen. We're back at Reggie and Joy. And Joy is labeling things. And Reggie says, "Why are you labeling? What's wrong?" And she, like, typical Joy, just needs to get everything in order because that's the only way she feels like she has any type of, like, sanity in her life.
Control, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Control is the word I was looking for. And then our good friend Claire brings JD home and is talking about how he pooped in her prize-winning flowers.
Her nasturtiums.
Yes.
And Joy said, "Isn't that a good fertilizer?" She's like, "Yes, but very big dog, very small flowers."
Right. Very different things. And then she's like in awe of Joy's like cataloging and labeling. And she's like, "Can you do this in my house?" And Joy is just like, "Sure." For $75 an hour. And I just said, Joy has found her calling.
I literally was like, that is the best job. I would 100% do that job.
I would also do that job. Like, you just sit around and like listen to podcasts and catalog and
nothing in my life will ever be organized. But if somebody paid me $75 to color code and organize and label everything in their lives, it would be immaculate.
1,000%. I mean, my office is very organized and I'm very organized at the bar. My house is not very organized because
I can organize everybody else's lives. Mine, not so much. But like, I'm also like, but I'm also like, this is the level of organized I am in like weird things. So my students at the beginning of the year, they took the Hogwarts quiz, each class, and then whatever class like had the best percent, like, and I gave them each a class. So now the homework board, the board in the hallway that tells them what materials they need for their class, and the homework drawer, all the same color. So like if you're Gryffindor, your homework on the board is in red, your materials are in red, your homework drawer is red. Everything is red. Like nice. I'm like, you know where it is because it's red.
Yes. But that also like makes sense.
Yeah. But like, and then like my planner, every single thing, like work at one job, work at another, things for fun, doctor's appointments, like every single thing is in a different color. I have birthdays in 2 different colors depending on where I know them from.
What color is my birthday?
Orange.
Why?
Birthdays of friends are orange because it stands out.
I don't care for orange.
Okay, well, I don't care.
Just gotta be red. Red stands out.
I don't have a red pen. No, I do have red pens, but I don't put red pens in my planners because red pens are my marking pens, so I don't want to waste ink.
What about like green?
Green is doctor's appointments. And recording the podcast. Dark green is recording the podcast. Light green is the doctor's appointments.
Okay, so I'm still dark green.
Yes, you're still dark green every week.
That's fine. Fair. I can accept that. I just don't want to be orange. So then we go back to the hospital, and Mason and Daisy have joined George. Where they came from? We'll never know because it was not addressed. They just came straight.
They came from the box.
I know where they came from. I don't know why they came from there. Unless George just like, I know she probably called him and like was like, come help me.
Yes.
But it just felt a little out of place when they arrived out of nowhere. And it was so funny because she called Mason James Bond because he has an English accent. And he's like,
okay.
You're not listening.
This is where I wrote. This is where I wrote, give her the death post-it, you dummy.
Right. And it was just cracking me up when she's like, shaken, not stirred. James Bond. And he's like, I can't do this. And then they put on this play to try and tell her she's dead.
800 different versions of this play.
And oh my gosh. Well, the first one, before it goes to the black and white iterations, the first one, Mason's playing her husband and Daisy's playing her daughter. And he is the like worst actor in acting history trying to like be her husband. It is so funny.
I find, and this is just something as an actor, I find that the best actors are the only ones who can play bad actors.
No, I definitely agree.
Okay.
I definitely agree. I just thought it was so funny. Yes, it was cracking. And
also,
yes.
I had another thought during this whole montage that I don't think I've ever had before, but it really bothered me. How is Nina sitting down?
She could probably sit in a chair.
No, but like every time they try to touch anything, their hands go through it. They can't pick things up. How do they sit down? Like I just had like suddenly had a moment where I was like, nothing is consistent. None of this makes sense.
Well, that's probably like a rule. I mean, you think about it. If you think about people talking about seeing spirits in real life, they can see like chairs rocking when they're not supposed to, but then they go through walls.
Right. But like, okay, because the same thing happens in the show Ghosts. Have you seen that show yet? Okay, it's a new show. It's a comedy. It's very, very, very funny. But like the one guy, his like superpower as a ghost is that he can kind of get things to move. And it's like really, really like it takes like a lot of effort for him to like knock something over and everybody's got to cheer him on. But then they all use the furniture. And I'm like, how does this not I don't
maybe that's just an exception to the rule. Like
logical fallacies. I don't approve of logical fallacies.
Well, I'm sorry. You have picked the wrong show then. It is.
Picked the wrong life.
Shockful. Stockful. What is it? Stockful?
Chockful?
Shockful. That's the one.
Yeah.
Took me a second. Yes.
Yep.
Accurate. Yes. So we're back at Reggie, and we find out she kept George's book. And she's flipping it through it, and it's so sad. She turned to a page that just says, Reggie needs to disappear.
I wrote, oh, Reggie, you sweet thing. I'm so sorry.
I know. I was like, this is so sad. Turns out it's a little less sad than we thought because we get a flashback of baby Reggie and small George. And Clancy and Joy are sitting there talking with Reggie and baby coo noises. And George just out of nowhere says, I don't want Reggie to die.
And here's the thing. It felt very much out of nowhere, but like it was more like, I would like you guys to pay attention to me again, but I don't want Reggie to die. I like her. I just don't like that you only care about her and not me. So maybe she disappears.
So it's not as bad because she doesn't want her to die, but Reggie doesn't know that part. She just thinks she wants her to disappear.
Right.
So in reality, it was a little nicer than that.
But also in this moment, in this flashback, it put young George's age more concretely because we know how old George is versus how old Reggie is, which means that in this scene, George is between 8 and 10.
Right.
And my dad and I both got very upset because there is a 0% chance that an 8 or 10-year-old can read, understand, and really truly believe in Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. That's 0% chance.
I thought you were going to say read, and I was like, I was reading this.
No. Read,
Yes.
sure, absolutely. Read, even read above grade level, great.
Right.
Like the depth that is a Dickens novel is not for an 8-year-old.
No. I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. So then we go back to the hospital. George is losing her mind, I said, because she just doesn't know how to help Nina move on. And Mason and Daisy just go for a drink because they're done trying to figure it out. And then it gets sad again.
Yep.
Because Nina turns around and sees Beth's Post-it, and George picks it up and puts it back on the picture, and she just says, "My daughter."
Yeah. But it finally clicks to George that the Post-it is the answer.
Yes. And so she just puts the Post-it on her dead body. And this
tells her a story.
She tells her a story, and it sounds like that might be the first time George has come to terms with her own death.
Yes. I felt the same way.
I was like, first of all, finally. And I was like, and maybe this is the way she needed to do it. It's not a terrible way for her to have done it.
Yeah.
I'm okay
with it. It's just that it's a season too late.
Right.
Like mid to end season 1, great.
Yes. Even maybe beginning of season 2, but like episode 1 of season 2, not
episode 12.
Yeah. And Nina, when she realizes she's dead, she just says, "That's all right. Thank you." And I almost broke down in tears and lost it because I was so upset. That's all right.
Right?
It broke my heart. Oh, it's fine though. It's fine. And then we go back home. Daisy's home. And I know that this is already probably a long episode, but it's just going to get
hold on. Before we do that, after Reggie's telling the story, after George is telling the story, there's a little bit of a monologue where she's talking about how she like finally came to terms with her death. Mm-hmm. And she feels bad because she realizes talking to Nina about Nina's family is the first time that she realizes that she hasn't really been thinking of her family. And she's like, I wonder if Reggie is ever thinking of me. And my note just says Reggie's only ever thinking of you.
Always thinking of you, George. Always.
And that was like really sad. And I wish the episode would have ended right there.
This whole episode.
But it didn't.
Is sad.
It didn't end there.
So we go back to Daisy's house, and Daisy and Mason are kind of back to themselves. They drunkenly get back to Daisy's, and Rey is creepily sitting there in the dark. And I cringed so hard. I was so upset. And I kept thinking he was going to kill one of them, knowing they can't die. I'm well aware they can't die. I still thought they were going to somehow. And it was so sad. I'm ready for Rey's Post-it because he started being such a jerk. And she tells him to leave. As soon as Daisy tells him to leave, he grabs her by the neck and slams her into the wall. And I was distraught. I was so upset. It was like even thinking about it, it's such an upsetting scene. And I don't care for the fact that this show went this dark. I don't. I wish it wouldn't have. It was not set up that way. It was set up as a dark comedy, and I think it went too dark.
For my own personal well-being, I need to skip to what happens after because I could not process this. Yeah.
Yes. And Mason beats him over the head with a tray because Mason comes to
because Mason is Mason, and we all need a Mason.
And I said, where is his soul? What happened? Turns out, if you're evil, your soul becomes a graveling.
Well, here's the thing. That is the theory that I've seen. And I saw that on Reddit that like evil people's souls become gravelings. I don't know that that's 100% true. I don't know what made him a graveling. Like we end the episode having no idea what made him a Graveling. And the thing that makes it even more uncomfortable is Daisy wasn't reacting to the fact that he didn't have a soul or a post-it note or a Reaper. And Mason's like, what is going on? And he was like, you're not surprised. And she said, I've seen this before.
I think she killed her sister's abuser. And I think she did it after she died, and that's why she got sent away from New York.
That's amazing, because I did not even go there.
That is exactly what I thought. And I do think it's evil people, because if you don't reap their soul in time, their soul becomes terrible like their body is. It's not.
Here's the thing that I have a problem with, if that's true. My problem with that thought is, and this is going to get into some real life shit for a second. My problem with that thought is the fact that that kind of excuses narcissistic manipulative abusers because they don't have a soul.
These people, I don't think, but here's the thing. They don't have a soul.
I think that's kind of what it's implying, is that there is no soul to reap. There's a Graveling inside. There's evil inside. And I get that. And I get what the show's kind of doing with it. But I think that kind of makes an excuse for people. And it says, well, you didn't have a chance to be good. You were always evil. And that is kind of like pretending it's okay because they were always going to end up that way.
So I agree with you if your theory is correct. But my thought on it is that they do have a soul, but when it's so blackened that instead of going through to this light, there's some that are chosen to be Gravelings, just like there's some that are chosen to be Reapers. And I think that once his soul turned black, he was like predestined to become a Graveling after that. And so I think that was his soul coming out of his body as a Graveling.
But that's still, I don't know. If it's like, the thing is like, his soul has become so rotted that it becomes a Graveling. Yes. But the idea of predestination in any way, shape, or form kind of still excuses behavior in a way that I don't agree with.
I don't think it's like predestined, like from the time he's born. I think once your soul is rotted, they decide if you're going to become a Graveling or if you're going to go to some other terrible place. And so I think it's kind of like, but because you're probably decided you're going to be a Grim Reaper before the second you die.
Right. But like, what is the thing that makes you a Reaper? Like, what do you have to be a Reaper?
Well, I don't know, but we know that George saw Gravelings before she became a Reaper.
That's true. But then why didn't that other guy?
I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have so many questions about what they're doing. And I have a feeling that if this whole idea of it being you're evil, but
I don't think everyone who's evil becomes a Graveling either. I think
no, but then like, again, but like, what I don't know. I just think I have a problem with the idea of things being so black and white. And I know that obviously it's not, because I have no fucking idea what's going on in the show. There's no black and white, but there's just something so. I have a problem with the word evil. That's what it is. That's what I figured.
Okay.
I have a problem with the word evil. I have a problem with the concept of evil, because I think that by saying that any human being is evil takes away the moral responsibility to not do those things.
That's fair. I can understand that.
It took me a long time to process how the words that made that make sense. But yeah, I think the idea that a human being is capable of doing those things to Daisy and doing those things to people in real life, because it has happened to people in real life.
Right.
And saying that it's just an act of evil kind of takes away the humanity of it. And in a way takes away the responsibility of choosing not to do that.
Right. And see, I think that I think that because they choose to do that is what blackens their soul. I don't think it's the other way around. I don't think they're evil, therefore they do that. I think they do that, therefore it blackens their soul. And I think that the reason he got chosen as a Graveling as opposed to getting sent somewhere else is because he noticed the death and the correlation. Like, he was like, you went there because someone died. You went there because someone died. Like, he's noticing that there's a connection. And I think he knows more than we when we know about, you know, I think he's aware of
Yeah,
this
no,
whole time.
that's fair. I knew
And
he
so I
was
think
gonna.
that's why he was chosen to be a Graveling.
Honestly, I knew he was gonna go somewhere that he shouldn't with the death when he immediately was like, "Oh, somebody died at that bar that night," and I was like, "That's gonna be a problem."
And like the thing is, like, I think this is Gravelings is the hell version of Reapers because
But like,
they have to kill people.
But that's the other thing that I don't fully understand about the show and where it stands in a moral kind of compass is because like Gravelings are clearly bad.
Right.
Like this episode has concretely decided that Gravelings are bad. We kind of always felt that way about them because of the way they were visually portrayed.
Right.
But this has like been like, nope, concrete Graveling is bad. But Reapers are I don't think that Reapers are good either. Like Reapers are so morally ambiguous.
I don't think it's a good versus evil thing though either. I think it's something along the lines of if you
No, but you just said that Reapers were like that Gravelings were like the bad version of Reapers.
Right. And I do agree that because I think that they've blackened their soul so much, whereas Reapers aren't good or not good, but they aren't just bad.
No, I don't think they're bad either.
So
but
I think I don't think
that Gravelings and Reapers actually have any connection except for that they both are associated with death. Like
I think Reapers are more maybe they're more like in purgatory because they do.
Like I think there's like a moral
area.
There's like a moral ambiguity there. Like,
but I think the Gravelings don't have a good area. That's my thought. Is that they have the option and never choose good. They always choose bad. Whereas Reapers are somewhere in between.
But now the question is, what happens when a Reaper is done? When their number is called, that guy who reaped George and then didn't exist anymore. Betty jumping into the heaven that she wasn't supposed to. What, like, maybe is reaping purgatory and you either go one way or the other, or
and once you finish your duties you go where you go to
but the thing is that would like then have to like imply that all Reapers get better as time goes on, and I don't think that's true because like Rube seems to be spiraling in the opposite direction.
But Rube's also not done.
No, I know, but like the idea of purgatory making you get better, like Rube has clearly been here for how many years doing this and helping people and following the rules and doing X, Y, and Z, but he hasn't moved on.
And maybe that's wise because he hasn't emotionally moved on, therefore he can't leave. It's kind of like when your soul's stuck on earth and they say like until you find that thing.
But then why didn't Roxy move on when she finally had the breakthrough after her birthday or death day?
There's something more with Roxy going on that we just don't
know. But the problem is there's not. Like, I think there should be, but there's not.
And I think there's more to Roxy. I think she's supposed to take over for Rube when Rube moves on. And I think that maybe that's why she hasn't left.
I don't know. I think that this is where I start to question the writing because I think that Brian Fuller didn't have time to flesh out his ideas, and people who don't understand him are trying to finish what he started, and it's not adding up.
I agree. And I've been questioning that a lot. Pretty much since he left the show, nothing's lined up since.
Which
it lines up at
the 5th episode.
Right.
There's
yeah. And we end on a George monologue. And one of the things she ends with is the things you try to hide turn out to be the things you can't forget.
And she says that as a monologue over the top of a scene of Mason burying Rey's body in the backyard, and I felt slightly vindicated by that.
I also did. But it's clear that it was meant on Daisy's behalf.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure that that's not the end of that. Like, that's the end of Rey, but that's not the end of that.
And I will say I'm a little sad because I don't know that I could ever look at Eric McCormick the same again. And I'm
Isn't it so upsetting? Like, that is upsetting.
because I loved him. And I need to see him in the happiest, nicest show ever. That's like fluffiest show that's ever been created.
I need to like
I don't even know
watch
if
him.
that's good enough.
I need him to like watch him hosting the Puppy Bowl or something.
Ugh.
Like,
I don't even know if that would do it.
I don't either. I don't.
Because I am not okay with him. And I understand that means he's a good actor. I do understand that means he's a good actor.
The more upset I am, the more credit it gives him in his abilities, unless he's actually that person.
But like, I think we would have heard about it by now if he was.
Right. I don't know.
He's worked with a lot of people and everyone's not said anything bad about him.
Right. Yep. I don't have words. I have none of the words.
Excellent. Well, sadly, on that note, I have no trivia for you. No quotes. No nothing. I included the one trivia was that Eric McCormick and Nina were both in an episode of Will and Grace together, and that's even though they didn't have any scenes together in this show. And then I said the quotes I liked, and those were not listed on IMDb.
Of course,
and there were some good quotes here. But who do you want to punch in the face?
Well, here's the thing. Rey's already dead.
Right.
But honestly, nobody else deserved it this episode, so still has to be Rey.
Still has to be Rey.
Yeah. Like, there's not even like a backup choice.
No. And who's your MVP?
Mason. And I can't really explain why it's Mason without having a breakdown because I can already feel myself starting to
So I also put Mason, but I feel like we shouldn't have the same thing all the time. So I also kind of feel Penny.
That's true. I love Penny. I just have like
love Yardley Smith.
Very deep personal reasons why I need
that. Is fair. And we have 3 episodes left. 3. We have made it almost to the end of this show.
My prediction is that nothing that I want to feel satisfied about will happen.
My prediction is that the only things we're going to learn about is Daisy's sister's thing and Rube's daughter's thing. And that's it. I don't think we're going to answer to anything
Honestly,
else.
I would be okay if those are the only 2 loose ends, but I have a feeling we're going to get one, but not both.
I feel like we'll get both. I feel like if they don't, I feel like they've set it up so much that they have to answer both before they go.
You would think. You would
going to punch Stephen Gottschall in the face if he does not tie up both of them because he is the main writer at this point. And I will find him. I hope he's alive, probably. I don't know how old he was this came out.
Oh my God, I can't imagine that he's dead.
Well, if he was like in his 40s or 50s when this came out, he'd be fine. But what if he was like in his 70s or 80s? We don't know. I don't know how old he was.
No, I don't want to click on the Amazon ad.
Are you sure that's not what you want out of all of those things?
Absolutely not what I want. Where?
Stephen Gottschall.
I'm trying to give me any information.
He is unknown. He has an unknown age, but he's a native of New Orleans, so I could find him. He went to Tulane.
Did he?
He sure did.
No, go back.
We will never know his age, though, apparently, because it does not want me to know his age. But he does look relatively young, so like he's probably
here I'm gonna not look for actual things and look on his Twitter.
Fair. His Twitter says a writer dead like me, Spin City, Roseanne, a dozen other shows you didn't watch.
He also tweeted on the 1st of November of 2021, Saints win, Brady loses. So I like him already.
Maybe I won't punch him in the face.
Right.
But we'll see. I'll let you know. TBD.
TBD. Also, cannot find an age, and I don't care to continue looking. Sorry.
Right, that is fine. Also, we are apologizing because this episode has been incredibly long. I'm pretty sure it's been an hour and a half, at least. It is almost 10 o'clock.
Yes, I do know what time it is. I just don't think we started as early as we think we did.
I thought we started right after 8.
Probably closer to 8:15, 8:30.
Maybe.
We just talk nonsense. But maybe it's an hour and a half long, but honestly,
but most of it was the episode. We didn't chit chat too much in the beginning. We just had a lot to say about this episode
because there was a lot of upsetting things. And also I hope I make sense because I'm half a bottle of wine and no dinner in, but it's because I needed it because today sucked and this episode emotionally wrecked me.
You did absolutely make sense because I have had no wine. I have had sparkling water.
Okay, good.
Well, I've had sparkling mango black tea or something. It's delicious. And I've also not had dinner though. So we're going to have to wrap it up so we can eat some food before we sleep tonight and get ready for tomorrow. Because I have a conference and you have school.
I do have school and a basketball game and drama rehearsal, and Teresa wants to take me out to dinner because my week's been shit.
Ooh.
So.
Nice. Sounds good. We love you all. Come join us on Reddit. We're having a ball.
We are, and we're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Gmail.
Watch out for our questions that we're going to ask.
Polls, yes. Answer polls. Send us suggestions. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Please.
We have things we're interested in, but we want to do things you're also interested in.
Yeah, because I could listen to myself talk forever, but I cannot be the only audience.
Right. Agreed. And the 3% of you from Germany, we thank you.
Thanks.
And you can follow us
at Death and Aliens everywhere, and you can join our Death and Aliens community on Reddit. I'm still learning Reddit.
We are figuring it out.
But we are on all of the things as Death and Aliens. I am on all of the things, including Reddit, as EMKAY_superstar.
And I am everywhere at CECloud13.
And we will see you next week.
And the day that this episode comes out, so sorry, I forgot to mention this at the top. There will be a poll for sci-fi episodes you may be interested, sci-fi shows you may be interested in. And we're going to see if sci-fi or horror wins out and what show wins out.
Yes.
So stay tuned and don't forget to check out our Instagram today and vote.
As this show wraps up, that can only mean one thing. Season 4 is coming.
New content.
Woo-hoo.
It's going to be great, guys.
All right. We will see you then.
See ya.
Bye.